The government shutdown. Whatever will we do without Uncle Sugar? I'll tell you. How about buy crypto? How about catching people off guard with a lot of people expecting perhaps Bitcoin to outperform? That's not unreasonable. But what would happen if it was altcoins? What would happen if crypto hedge funds got out of the gate early, buying for not only October, but for the fourth quarter? Now, if you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, hit the like button. And don't forget, we'll talk more about our Patreon group where we are fully stocked with research for the fourth quarter, and 2 YouTube member area podcasts. Count them, 2 in the last 5 days. Now, you're going to ask me, Bill, why have you done all this research early? Well, I'll tell you. Because the rumors about October are real. In other words, I did the historical analysis, this historical data machine that I had when I used to work at Wall Street, and here is the 411. And then we'll get to news and altcoins and TA, so don't go anywhere. So if you look at what happens during the month of October, and then each month thereafter, so starting at the end of September, and then moving for October, November, December, crypto does pretty good. You've probably heard that. But the twist when I looked at the data is that for the fourth quarter, like say the market's doing well, the market continues to do really well. Like I see a 40% gain for the fourth quarter in 24, a 56% gain in the fourth quarter in 2023. This is Bitcoin. 150% move in 2020. A 230% move in 2017. This is for the whole fourth quarter. Now, in years like 2018, 2019, and 2022, really all you get is like, 5% rally maybe in October, and then the rest of the year stinks. But obviously, in my opinion, we're not in that environment with Bitcoin trading where it is and with the ETH rally that you had this year. In other words, in my opinion, the value proposition for crypto, this is not 2018. This is not 2022. Okay. If anything, honestly, it's like 2023 where you had Bitcoin or big coins moving higher. Altcoins, meh. But then when it finally took off, right? When it finally took off, it really took off. So you have to ask yourself, is everyone still negative? Is everyone still sitting around waiting? And the answer is probably. Probably. Now, if that's true, what do you get involved in? Well, naturally, in the YouTube member area, we've got all of our large and small cap plays, and we narrowed it all down on each of the podcasts to make it clear. But let's perhaps look at the obvious. I saw the XRP CTO basically step down and join the board of directors. I like the fact that he joined the board of directors because that means that there won't be any more dumping while he's on the board of directors. And hopefully whatever he's had to sell for his retirement, he's already sold. So XRP Ledger, and as it relates to stable coins, we're not making any bones about it in the YouTube member area where we think XRP is going. Whatever your target is for year end, ours is twice as high. Then there's this whole idea about Solana. So Kyle Samani is out today. We're talking about Solana yesterday in the podcast. He's trying to become like the Michael Saylor, the Tom Lee, and now he wants to be like the Solana Sultan, right? The Solana treasury guy, basically saying you could run all of Wall Street on Solana. And you know what? That's true. That's absolutely true. Everyone thinks Solana is a meme coin highway. Not so. Not with stablecoin proliferation, not with real world assets. No way. Okay. ETH. Toby made herself perfectly clear about ETH. I think it's obvious with precious metals going up. So you've taken a seller out in XRP, in my opinion. You've got Solana Treasury next, and ETH is still wildly undervalued considering all the stable coins are currently running on ETH, and that stuff is going to proliferate like you don't know. Little known fact, Tether added $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to their reserves. So as stable coins proliferate, not only are they going to be buying treasuries, but they're also going to be buying Bitcoin. And I think with the NVDA new high today, you have to start asking yourself about the AI trade in crypto. We covered like the top 5 meme coins that we like for October yesterday in the podcast. There will be perhaps a YouTube member area specific video about meme coins. Hey, but there are meme coins that we like, and we even have a date for a meme coin takeoff. Speculation is coming back to this market. The reason is because the technology component of this market, and you just start going down the aisle. You start looking at SUI. You start looking at Polkadot, right? We have 2 big caps. We narrowed our big caps down to 2 picks, right? Gann model wants crypto plumbing. And you can see altcoins, some of them rallying underneath the surface, right? XDC up today, big rallies in certain coins. Like there is a bottom-up rally happening, right? Sonic, another layer 1. I would love to say what it is, but it's like one of our top 2 picks. There's a lot of quiet outperformance going on in altcoins. And even though Benjamin Cohen's a genius, and obviously he's got a huge track record, and I love the guy, but the guy keeps talking about Bitcoin dominance. I do think Bitcoin can have a measure of outperformance for the first 5 days, perhaps, of October, but I think the ETH rally looms. Everybody continues to look at gold and silver, and all they do is talk about gold and silver. If you're talking about gold and silver, you got to be talking about ETH. Now, back to the government shutdown. It's pretty obvious what they want to do with cost cutting. It's pretty obvious that there's absolutely zero urgency about any of this. None. Zero. They're just like, yeah, we're shutting it down. The administration wants to shut it down because they want to reduce the size of government, whether it's like vengeful or whether it's, cost cutting. They want rates down. They want rates down. And the only way to do that is to open the door and let people just go. Period. So, are we sitting here afraid of an event? And when the event happens, if nothing bad happens to the market, what's gonna go on? I mean, is there no bet? What better instrument is there? What better instrument is there to benefit from sovereigns behaving in kind of a ridiculous fashion, like shutting themselves down on purpose? I mean, that is sort of ridiculous today. There's additional sovereign warning signs. We saw the Secretary of Defense and the Orange Man speaking to a room full of generals that were flown in from all over the world. And when the Orange Man took the stage, everybody just sat there and said nothing. So either there's about to be an alien landing, which, there is some kind of comet out there. I don't think they dragged these guys across the world for this particular speech. So major conflict, alien landing, I don't know. Or they just brought them all there to intimidate them. Does this sound like this is a currency you want to own? Honestly, is this a currency you want to own? There are other Middle Eastern geopolitical developments that, frankly, I find laughable. Like shutdowns. It feels like a circus. From a public opinion standpoint, they're in better shape than they were, say, 4 months ago or 3 months ago. but not in the eyes of capital markets. Not really. Another thing that adds to perhaps a bump for crypto. The dollar is topping out after short squeezing everybody. And strangely, this monstrous Zcash rally, love Zcash, but the market tends to underperform when Zcash is rallying. So, I mean, Zcash took off and went, this is unbelievable. This went from 47 to 74 on a line. Now, again, market usually underperforms when Zcash is going up. Like Zcash is almost like a negative beta play, meaning Zcash goes up, everything else doesn't do anything. And of course, you want to say you're bored and you want to say that you don't care about the market. But this NVIDIA new high, right? The AI trade, the FOMO at quarter end in NVIDIA. And again, this gold and silver trade, why is everybody fading crypto when every single macro indicator is flashing go? And if this government shutdown lasts more than 2 days, like if they shut it down and it's not a ceremonial shutdown, I mean, the Orange Man back in 2019, I want to say he let it go on for like 30 days or more. 35 days? What are we going to do without Uncle Sugar? What are we going to do when someone realizes, I don't think we need these guys. I don't. And then, of course, there's a John McAfee angle to remember, right? Here comes a very interesting tweet from the guy who is effectively the voice of the John McAfee AI. So it looks like Mr. Gates would like a digital ID scheme. Bill Gates argues for a digital ID to fight misinformation. Okay. Well, I thought freedom of speech gave everybody the idea to say what they wanted to say. And truth or not truth determined by people who do research or people on the ground. Antivirus trades at a 3 million market cap. And I don't mind saying Toby thinks privacy is a monster 2026 theme, offering you a huge opportunity to spend 3 months accumulating things like antivirus. Accumulating before this market turns around and takes off. Right? Because is that so unreasonable? Now, another really interesting thing that I saw today. So my old colleague, Jordy Visser, who's getting kind of super famous, is being quoted by the media as saying, it's not uncommon to get 20% corrections in Bitcoin because you've seen 20% corrections in NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has done 1,000x since ChatGPT launches, right? And, it's not uncommon, right? You had 20% corrections in NVIDIA, and Bitcoin could do the same thing. Okay. So that's reasonable. Now, are we going to have a 20% correction in Bitcoin now? I don't know, but it feels like we had one from 124 to 108 because altcoins went down way more than 20% in that scenario. So we feel like we're done. And it is funny that this guy is like, he's like giga bullish Bitcoin, and he's at least being quoted, right? He's being quoted as talking about a Bitcoin correction. When the fact of the matter is, he wants 30% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. Is 30% of your portfolio in Bitcoin? Well, maybe yours is if you're running pure crypto, right? But do normies have 30% of their money allocated to Bitcoin? Normies don't even have any money allocated to gold. Like the gold ETF was all hot to trot in 2011 when it first came out. I was there. There's no one interested. Normies don't even have gold exposure in their portfolios. Now, of course, they're doing quite well in NVIDIA, so I get it. But Could that be a quarter end blow off top? Like, did they buy the winners and ignore the losers, at least for now? A lot of times at quarter end, either at the beginning or the end, they come in and they want to buy the losers for the quarter, which clearly is crypto, clearly is Bitcoin and Ethereum. You wake up and Uncle Sugar starts to like the embarrassment trade. People are underestimating like what can go on in that particular case. Now, I do have a point about Bitcoin that I want to make. So Bitcoin is fantastic, and we all know that, and crypto is fantastic, and we all know that. But there's something going on. There's something that can go on in Bitcoin where, in the Bitcoin options market, right, particularly BlackRock's ETF and the options market related to that, is that in 10 words or less, whether it's accidental or otherwise, as Bitcoin options become a bigger and bigger business, people don't realize that if you have an ETF and you have options on those ETF, you can effectively suppress the price using the options. Now, either because people do a certain strategy called overwriting, which I won't get into, but having an ETF doesn't automatically mean it goes up forever. It doesn't, right? Price of Bitcoin is most likely suppressed by the options market. So 2 key points. One, if the price of Bitcoin ever really got loose and all these option strategies failed, you could have a much bigger rally. Point number 2, how about this? Buy something that's not in an ETF, right? Because you can't really have this legacy style suppression. There's no big players can sit on it using a legit option strategy or, I don't know, a not so nice one. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. Solana. I know there's an ETH ETF, but it's not as big as the Bitcoin one. And then I keep coming back to XRP. I mean, this whole stablecoin payments thing is happening. I mean, every day there's a new set of headlines like Stripe unveils, stablecoin payment mechanism, right? All day long. All this tokenized asset stuff, SEC, CFTC want to get, crypto moving because they can't get government debt issued fast enough. They're doing these speeches in the Defense Department talking about all the stuff they want to build and buy. The only way to pay for that stuff is through stablecoins, through issuance of government debt through stablecoins. And investment banks are coming out and, they're looking at Circle stock, even though that stock has got a phantasmagoric valuation. And they're going, yeah, it's a fairly priced stock. Fairly priced. I'm like, that's very interesting because, it's fairly priced. And ironically, everyone in crypto seems to be negative. I can't really understand why. Like, for example, if you go to Bitcoin dominance on, say, a 4-hour chart, okay? Now, there's a couple things to note. Benjamin Cohen's got a lot of great charts, and he's a super smart guy. Okay, there's a shelf here, and Bitcoin dominance is above the shelf, but it's still within its Lux algo range with the premium zone around 59. And I'm asking you a simple question. What happens if everybody wakes up and goes, crypto is too cheap relative to equities? And I know we've talked about this, but I keep asking, how does it not happen? Particularly with the optics of a government shutdown. So let's look at the DeMark work on ETH. So this little rally failed for whatever reason. Support is down here at 39.66. You could only hope to get lucky to get ETH down below 4,000 for a second time. Okay, again, that feels almost too good to be true. Okay, Bitcoin, you get probably some chop here on a government shutdown rumor. And with this configuration, if it doesn't top out, there's upside. If it does top out, that would be probably unpleasant. But I mean, if we go to the gold futures contract, I mean, that feels like kind of it to me. I mean, not over, but I mean, Goldman said that all the easy money had been made. And I don't think I agree with that. Excuse me. Goldman said the easy money had been made and then the market went up more, which is typical of overshoots. Now, if we start looking at Microstrategy, so, Michael Saylor's now all over the tape. Everyone's like, oh, Mike, what happened? Your stock went down. NVIDIA went up, right? Microstrategy went down to its discount zone on a 4-hour chart. And this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the Lux Algo Elliot wave tool, basically telling you that the Microstrategy down move is complete. So they've shaved a lot of the premium, like, off Microstrategy, meaning Microstrategy trades, above the amount of the Bitcoin that they own. So Microstrategy as a company is worth more than the Bitcoin that they hold. And, this kind of thing ended because the Bitcoin ETF came around and people had other alternatives. Okay. Well, the thing that's funny about the Bitcoin ETF is that, there's the existence now of paper Bitcoin, of a suppression is possible. A suppression is not necessarily true in MicroStrategy, even though Michael Saylor has been issuing the stock, increasing the supply, but he appears to be done with that because he's issued all these other types of stock. So, is it time to go back to MicroStrategy? If you look at the MicroStrategy daily chart, right? This is like the underlying bearishness that I talk about in visual form. Okay, so here is the big trend in MicroStrategy, topped out around 450 in July. And it's this A, you see Lux Algo, A, B, C. So the Elliott wave function in Lux Algo is like saying, hey, we're done here. And look at this exit. Like all the internal employees sold, right? That was probably before. That was probably somewhere in here. They sold everything they could. And everybody got all of a sudden bearish on Michael Saylor. I don't recommend it. If anything, it looks like a buy. Marathon Digital, another Bitcoin hedge fund, nowhere's near any type of premium zone. As a matter of fact, it looks like this to me. And again, I don't even know that Bitcoin is the best thing to own. Feels like these crypto treasury companies and these miners are better. I mean, that seems clear to me. And of course, this chop in the handle, oh, awful. And that's always the way it is. Always. Right? It's just terrible. Coinbase winds up on the day as quarter end buying. Interesting that they're looking for Coinbase today. Very interested to see what happens if Coinbase does a reclaim above 345. There's a lot of resistance here, but part of why I'm interested in this is this giant accumulation cone. Coinbase broke out of the bottom, makes it look terrible. And then the next thing you know, if it climbs back in there, remember what I was talking about? Like, when bull markets start, remember we went through this at the 200-day moving average. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's resistance. Oh my God, the chart broke down. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, but if there's no follow through on the downside, the next big rally, everyone's waiting for confirmation. Right. And by the time you get confirmation, it's taken off. If you believe in it, you got to make a decision whether or not you believe in it. And breaking from the Eagle King right here. Orange Man warns of irreversible actions in shutdown. They want interest rates down. And don't be shocked if they shut this thing down and the orange man just goes and plays golf and be like, yeah, we'll see you in 90 days. We'll make sure that, you know, cops and military are paid. Everybody else, see you. See you. And I don't understand. I don't understand how that does not bring in lower rates. It brings in lower rates, and everyone's going to be talking about it. A week in, the economists will be talking about that. But in crypto, you may have to get involved way before that happens. Now, another thing I want to talk about as it relates to NVIDIA. The NVIDIA CEO talked about OpenAI in a way that almost sounded like science fiction. He was like, you know, everyone thinks it's a bubble, and it may be a bubble, but, you know, OpenAI is going to wind up being some kind of, you know, multi-trillion-dollar mega company. He had a really cool Silicon Valley tech phrase to describe it. But I ask you this question. What happens if he's right about that? And if so, you know, in an AI super world where we have no idea about the ethics of the people that built these things, what do you want to transact in? A decentralized world or a centralized world? Do I say that almost every stream? Yes. Is it worth saying every single stream? Yes. Right? Yes. Right? Because robots are not going to transact in legacy. They're not. Right? In other words, you know, Hester Pierce like, whoa, we got to hurry up and tokenize everything. Yeah, well, that's because there's no liquidity in legacy, because the Fed holds all that together. That includes the stock market. I think we should tokenize a commodity like water. Wait until you see that when that day comes, right? Real world assets is going to get real one day, right? It's going to go from, and one of our big picks for this quarter in the YouTube member area is a real world asset play. Patreon is loaded beyond belief, and millionaires will be made. Final fire sale, final dip, and the crypto portfolio from the psychic superhero, historic bull run. I think we've made our point. And you know what? You want the one sentence elevator market update? Like sometimes there's a one chart market update. That's probably the historical figures. Like when it's a bull market, fourth quarter is crazy. Okay. And then there's Toby Ward telling me that after a show on Saturday that we needed to do a show yesterday. You know, walks down the aisle at the cubicle and goes, yeah, we need to do a show. I'm like, what are you talking about? We just did a show. She's like, no, we need to do another show. I'm like, oh my God. This thing's going to just explode, which is why I'm on the air, and all these things are just loaded, right? When do you pack your bags? After it's gone up 15%, when everyone realizes what this shutdown is going to mean for rates? Because again, you know, after this Charlie guy passed away, their approval rating went up 10%. And sometimes I think when they get their approval rating up, it's almost like they can spend it. They can spend like their political capital. Like, okay, well, let's go out and do something aggressive. Let's go get crazy. You know, let's do something libertarian or conservative or Republican or whatever you want to say, right? Ronald Reagan wanted smaller government in the 80s. You didn't really get smaller government. Now, the orange man, yeah, you got to watch out here. The Fed doesn't want to cut rates. Fine. We'll close the government until the Fed wants to cut rates. Frankly, that's classic art of the deal, right? And of course, you know, the market's going to trade like total garbage going into that, because I don't think people understand this at all. I don't think people understand that if it's closed for one day, it could be closed for 30 days or more. Side Hill Forging is saying, what's the government shutdown? Okay, well, that's a good question. So when the U.S. government can't pass a budget, basically police, military, anything that was in the big, beautiful bill continues to get funding. The rest of the government, Congress has to authorize funding. Congress controls the budget. So if Congress can't come up with a budget or a continuing spending resolution that the president agrees to and signs, the government closes down. People get what's called furloughed, which is like basically, hi, sorry, you're not working. You'll get back pay when you come back to work. And now the orange man has made it perfectly clear if you come back to work. So they may use this as an excuse to do mass layoffs. So orange man's like, you do things my way with the budget or see it. And the thing that other people, no one is like 2 steps ahead, that once they do reopen the government, I'm sure the spending priorities of the current administration will be included in any new budget. In other words, they're going to spend more money. They're just going to spend more money. It's a question on what, right? Like the left wants certain things. Will they get it or not get it? They probably won't get it. Maybe they'll get some. So when this is over, you'll have fewer employees, right, to get rates down, but you'll probably also have potentially higher spending. And I can't come up with a scenario where this is not constructive crypto. Again, hence the gold and silver rally. In other words, everybody goes, the gold and silver rally, and stops talking. I think you have to say, the gold and silver rally, why is there a mass meeting of every general we have in the service in person for the defense secretary to give the laughable FAFO speech? Like you flew everybody in from all over the world to tell them that? What's going on? I don't know. Hence the gold and silver rally, right? No payroll data, no jobs data this Friday. Bureau of Labor Statistics shut down. That's interesting, don't you think? Maybe those numbers are terrible. Because if they were good, hey, let's release them anyway, or let's leak it or whatever. What happens if those numbers are terrible? No one has considered this. It's definitely not priced into crypto. Everybody looks at the gold and silver rally and is just like, wow, maybe I should FOMO into silver at 45. Maybe you should. Or maybe the big rally, the monster rally is going to be Ethereum. Because Ethereum follows silver. I mean, if you look at, say, like, I don't know. I mean, it's the end of the month. So maybe we could play around with monthly charts. Just kind of randomly on the fly. One thing I think people are missing about Ethereum, right, is first of all, on a monthly chart, Luxalgo has inserted support. So I have no idea why anybody thinks ETH is going to go back down again. It kind of already has, and it's retested this support. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is all Ethereum has done since 2021 is go sideways. And then if you look at the Luxalgo version of this, right, because Luxalgo automatically draws trend lines, ETH has already broken out. In other words, you can see that ETH broke out here. ETH broke out, this candle, that was July, did a retest of the Luxalgo trend line that most likely no one was drawing. Humans were drawing. Then it pops up. It retests here. The support point gets retested. Then if you draw a reasonable price target from the Luxalgo, just your basic triangle target from, say, the middle of the range, from the point of the breakout, that's 6,400 ETH. If you look at the Fibonacci circles, I mean, your next target for, say, I don't know, October. No. Yeah. Okay. So let's say, where is it going to be in January? How about 7,700? I mean, somebody will pull out a monthly chart at some point, but it's funny. No one seems to be pulling out the monthly chart now. I mean, I think it might be entertaining to go to ETH monthly and post a few reminders. Like, I don't know what I'm going to find. I'm doing this all on the fly, right? Okay. Oh, look at this. ETH monthly. Okay. So here was the 13 bottom that I screamed about all year, which was the inverse of the 13 top prior to FTX. Here's a DeMark dotted line automatically drawn by the system, which, as I have noted, brings ETH back to exactly where it was before it fell apart. I saw some guy online posting a funny meme going, I just got my repayment back from FTX and ETH was at 3,900 and I just got it back with ETH at 3,900. So ETH comes down, tests this particular line drawn by the DeMark system. This 4 means that the month of September was a logical month for a dip, right? The trend starts, it pauses on the 4th bar. We chill out. Then you get 5 up, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 up months are theoretically possible in ETH. And what are we doing? Talking about Bitcoin corrections, like the bullish guys are talking about corrections. When the bullish guys talk about corrections, whew, this thing has the ability to catch everyone off guard. Even if they feel the need for whatever stupid reason to flush it one more time. You know, our Gann model doesn't think so. Our Gann model says, you know, higher rather than lower, even if it's Bitcoin that leads. And I don't think anyone, like, it's funny. I see a lot of pictures of Tom Lee. Like, I saw a picture of Tom Lee hanging out with Vitalik. You know, I see Tom Lee is like, you know, he's like the new Michael Saylor. It's like, oh, let's take a picture of Tom Lee. And what's Tom Lee saying on Twitter? I think everyone's forgetting that Tom Lee is talking about $10,000 ETH based on a supply shock. And nobody is connecting the metals thing. And even if you don't want to talk about that, what about these monthly charts? Like, what about the monthly charts? I mean, to me, everyone is like got their 89-minute chart out. No, especially not with Q4 in a generally speaking up market. Generally speaking, up market, right? Like, if you look at Bitcoin on a monthly DeMark chart, right? If you look at Bitcoin on a monthly DeMark chart, and I will remember to share the screen. Okay. Where's the topping signal? There's no topping signal here, right? I mean, the D wave is not great, but you could have 3, 4, or 5 up months in Bitcoin. And I know when you look at monthly XRP, there was your organic dip months. You know, you had dips in August and September. It's exactly when you would expect it. Just like back over here when XRP was going down. Oh, come on. Okay, so over here, when XRP was going down, okay, do you see how you get the counter trend rally on the 3 and the 4 bar? So down, okay, squeeze on 3 and 4, and then 5 months down to 30 cents. Total despair, everyone out. The same thing. XRP up, come back down on the 3rd and 4th bar, August and September. Note how XRP is probably going to eke out a positive monthly close, even though it went all the way up and all the way down, showing bulls underneath. And, you know, XRP news is, of course, everywhere on YouTube. Some channels have gone XRP news exclusively. I think your XRP news goes like this. The stablecoin trade is going to be huge. Ripple has a stablecoin business. Ripple has a reputation. Ripple has XRP Ledger, and they have a cryptocurrency that's fast that can be used for payments. This argument is nowhere. And everybody thinks XRP is fully priced at $2.83 or whatever it's trading at. And to me, that feels like a joke because you have monetary and payment system disruptors. You have banks whining about stablecoins. You have the Clarity Act inevitable because they've got to get government debt issued to the stablecoin people. And if so, they've got to make it so that the stablecoin companies can confidently buy not only government debt, but Bitcoin and Ethereum on top of that. Can't have somebody coming in and saying, okay, yeah, crypto's now illegal. You can't have a Gensler if you're going to have stablecoins. So this is not bullish because like we're gonna get all worried about a government shutdown. We want sovereigns to sort of behave badly, don't we? I mean, everyone's like, wow, we need the sovereigns to moon our bags. No, we don't. We need the sovereigns to buy our bags. No, we don't. We need the sovereigns to behave badly. And this is the same thing going on in Solana, right? That 4 bar here, right? You could have anywhere from 3 months up to 5 months up in Solana. Everything is the same. You see down here? I mean, this was like, the go-go days in December of 2023 when Solana was repricing itself. You still got these dips right around this area, right? It wicked up, came back down, and then you got a dip. Sometimes you get the dip, on the 3 and the 4. Sometimes you get it on the 4 and the 5. It's an organic dip zone. Oh, and by the way, did I mention it's the end of the month? It's the end of the month. We're done doing the dips. We're done. Everyone's like, well, because I saw this work. I have it. There was a guy that commented, and thank you for commenting on my tweet. You could be right that it's going to take 3 or 4 days to wake up. I don't care, right? And Toby has said this. What, you're going to sit around and be like, well, 2% away from a bottom? No, like if this takes off, right? If sovereigns behave badly or there's a geopolitical event while the government is shut down, has anyone considered this? Again, why are gold and silver up? T-Bone wants to know, when is Ripple going to IPO? The question is, why hasn't Ripple IPO'd yet? Do they have a big deal that they're working on? Is somebody trying to acquire them? Because again, Silicon Valley is paying any price to get ahead in AI. And Toby has said point blank, when we establish our XRP target, which is much higher than your XRP target, which is why you have to watch the podcast and why you have to be a member, that Silicon Valley is going to start spending money on crypto. Felix wants to know if I'm tired of winning yet. Well, I don't know if he's referring to the administration, which is very disappointing to say the least in many ways, right? I was a Bobby guy in the beginning, still am. He's the only thing that's not a disappointment. Am I tired of winning in the market? Meaning, am I tired of being constructive when the market doesn't seem to go anywhere? No, none at all. And if you listen to the inspirational speeches, which I can't possibly replicate because of the combination of her soft-spoken manner and her conviction, if you listen to the Toby Ward superhero psychic pep talks, I'm not tired of winning, bro. I'm long and I'm strong, and they can come get me because I got DeMark, I got Luxalgo, I got 30 years of marketing experience, and I have Toby Ward on my side. And I would recommend that you get all these things on your side and come in and consume research when it's down. We sell a lot of research when it goes up, and I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help, but we want to help now, right? Like buy it when it's down, buy it when nobody cares, buy it when no one's paying attention, and buy it when everyone's like shut off their imagination, because I think that is exactly what happened, because people's bags are down and they're upset. Not only that, but people's bags are down for 10 months in a row and they're over it. And I understand that. I also understand that at the moment you want to throw in the towel. This is the inverse of the lampshade moment, right? You know, when the market goes up and you feel like wearing a lampshade on your head and having a huge party and quitting your day job. Yeah, that's usually the sell zone. Now, when everybody is negative and everyone is defeated and everybody's upset, that's when you look at meme coins. That's when you look for the hidden catalysts, because as far as I'm concerned, the hidden catalysts are not hidden. They're not hidden because gold and silver are going up. They've bought everything else but crypto at a moment where crypto should explode from a seasonal point of view. And Toby's been telling you about the fourth quarter for 10 months. You know, she said it's the fourth quarter back in March, and I'm like, wah. Okay, now we're here. Now we're here, and the big question is, what are you going to do? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to get up in the middle of the night and watch crypto live streams like Hal Lopez in Florida. Bull Runner first on the stream, followed by MJ Hits. Your Bass is in the house. Philip, Tango FN, another member. Right? Can we, I'm not Bruce or Cliff. Can we get some consistency in the market? FFS. Dude, if everybody knows it's coming, see, this is the thing. Everybody knows it's coming, so they frustrate you. Want to know what the biggest, seriously, and people have forgotten this. The biggest example of the frustration trade of like, you know, everyone knows it's coming. Like everybody knew gold was going higher. Everybody knew that. Okay. Except if you go to the gold monthly chart, they made them wait 10 years. Like everybody's like, well, they're printing money. It's going up. You know, we don't know if they have the gold that they say they have. I mean, can we look at the chop? Can we just use this as an example to make yourself feel better about what's going on in crypto at the moment? So first of all, it went up only. Retail invested, and then it did nothing for 10 years. Then you had this handle, right? How many false rallies did you have? One, up, down, up, it's going up forever, crash. It's going up, here we go. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of before it finally went. And by the way, on a monthly chart, it's a 5-wave. I mean, you know, gold is past. I mean, I like drew these numbers up here. It's past my Fibonacci circle line, and maybe it is going up forever. I don't know. But how long did they make them wait? And how much chop did they have to put up with? You know, you do realize that this is 4 years. The cup, the teacup and handle, the handle was 4 years. And we're upset because, you know, the cup and handle in Solana, the handle in Solana was 2 months. And we're all having a mental breakdown because it's not at 500 yet. Like, don't be a pea brain. If everyone knows it's coming, then they wait you out. And that's how they get you. You get so disgusted, you don't want to be involved, and the general public has absolutely no idea what is about to happen in crypto. Like, they have got everyone sleeping. They've got all the guys in stonks, all the guys on gold and silver. Everyone's looking at everything except that alternative form of money, that alternative form of tech, and it includes meme coins, right? There are certain, like, I had to make the Gann model work really hard Because I think these models, they don't want to talk about meme coins because everybody's probably on there going, what's the next 1000X? I actually like our picks. I like them because what we've been doing on the YouTube member podcasts is we have kind of a new strategy, right? What we've done on all of these shows is, we take big lists, like Toby might pick from Banter Bubbles, and then I run the lists through the Gann model. I come up with 4 or 5, and then Toby picks the ones that she likes, the picks of the picks. Trying to narrow it down so we're coming out of each one of these podcasts with, like, say, 4 to 6 coins. So we did 4 meme coins. We did 2 coins from September that we want to keep, right? One of them you would not guess. One of them you would not guess. Okay, and it's still large cap. Okay, what is going to come out of nowhere other than the entire market, right? In other words, are you ready? Okay, Malik is asking for a technical analysis update on TIG. All right, well, because we love Malik and we love our people, we will do a technical analysis look. And of course, YouTube members, don't forget, YouTube members get priority on comments. The innovation game. We have looked at this before. To be honest, it's a give up trade. And this is across all of crypto, right? Like, this is where it should have stopped. It didn't stop there. And then it turns around. It turns around and tries to get back in here. So it's got to get back in here in order to be good. And bag holders are selling every rally. And that is true across crypto. And if you really want to know why they have to make it legal, right? Like, why does this administration have to make sure that the Clarity Act passes? So Forbes claimed that Barron is worth $150 million after making $80 million from token sales, with an additional $2.3 billion in locked up tokens. Blockchain Crusader is here reminding you to smash the like button. And I'm reminding you to follow Blockchain Crusader on TikTok, on YouTube, wherever you can find him. He's a very underrated personality, great personality, and very good at tactical trading. Like, he's good at tactical trading, and he's not 20 years old, and he's seen some cycles. So feel free to check him out, a perfect add-on to our Gann roadmaps, which have been right on the money, which, for the month of October, I'm a little bit more relaxed than the average person based on some of the things that I've seen, right? Daniel J with the super like, Suncatcher Hawaii, Grandpa Keeter, an absolute OG and supporter of the channel is here. Julius Max, Stang 347, Don Lee, a new name, right? The weekdays looking more bearish than the weekends. True. Why? Because you have to wait for the ETF options market maker manipulators to go home, which is why it's great that crypto trades 24/7. They can sit on Bitcoin all week, but then on Friday and Saturday, crypto guys get loose. Guess who? Chicken Boo, one of our favorite one-member hedge funds, rocking it out there. Crypto Monedas, Rave Song Records, new names here, right? Tango FN, Smash Satoshi. Is this a country anymore? Okay. Is this a country anymore? You know what my 2024 angle is that maybe I got to bring back? Is this country ungovernable? Right? Is the division such that we cannot govern ourselves? This is going to be all over every single newspaper. Like, every day it's shut down, right? Can you see the left-wing media? right? Oh my God, the government is shut down. Here's somebody who didn't get a check who's upset. I mean, again, there's a human element to this, but you can bet everyone's going to be like, wow, such and such happened every single day. The government is shut down and it's the other party's fault. And look what's happening. Meanwhile, back in capital markets, everybody out of the alternative currency system. Every Toby Ward pep talk, after we have this like thing we do like, I start with the apocalypse. Like I say, okay, this is everyone's doom and gloom. And I know not even to believe in it. I've known to turn it into a joke. And every single Toby Ward pep talk starts out with, we're building the platform for the future. Then that ends the apocalypse part of the show. And then we get to, what are we backing up the truck on? Grandpa Keeter has been here for a year. He is now a Spartan officer with that Spartan officer emoji, along with T-Bone. The YouTube member area is 1 year old and going strong, right? With 1 hour episodes where you have huge amounts of condensed information. A pep talk, a look from 2050, because that's where Toby really lives. He just beams down for the podcast. Right? And then altcoin picks, right? From Toby to the model, back to Toby, with all kinds of selection methods, computer, intellectual, analysts, woo. We're leaning into the woo, people. Good luck finding what we do anywhere else. Side Hill Forging. Stang 37 wants that water online. Oh my God. Seriously, it could be the greatest comeback in the history of crypto. I think it is. When it comes time for me to tell that story, dude, it literally is the greatest comeback ever. If it's true. I mean, it is true. But I mean, when you see what the guy who runs that had to go through to get it to work over a period of years, oh my God. I mean, it's like a Rocky Balboa story. Okay. Future Prophet says, we are hosed, find God. I saw Madonna had her first interview in 10 years, not saying it quite that way. But if something does happen to you, you have to find the lesson in it. The lesson is from the gold market, where they had to wait 10 years. If they waited 10 years, we can wait 10 months. If we got to wait until October 4th, we got to wait until October 4th, because everybody knows it's coming. Everybody thinks it's going to happen, but no one's trading that way. No one is trading that way. Okay. Have I covered Plasma XPL? No, I have not. We'll take a look at it. Okay. What do we think about Monero? All right. Well, that's a good question. Oh my God. And we have somebody coming, Crypto Path, from a vacation resort in Cuba. Let's go Spartans. By the way, if you wonder what Spartans are, those were the original members of Patreon who are still in there. Patreon has 2 levels, VIP and Platinum. And like I said, those people are absolutely loaded. They are loaded. And here we go. 3 tweets that give you all you need to know. White House preparing for government shutdown. Spirit of a Halloween. I'm assuming that's see you at the end of the month. Tether buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And the guy that runs Telegram, who spent some time in French custody, thinks Bitcoin is going to $1 million, which is interesting because most people in crypto are having trouble seeing it going back to 124. We're sitting around looking at it like in $500 increments, when the guy who spent time in custody for doing what? I don't know. What? For not giving the frogs a back door so that they can look at every single thing that you do? I mean, these sovereigns do not have your interest at heart. That's my other theme from last year. Ungovernable, They don't have your interest at heart. They don't. We voted for no new conflicts. How many new conflicts have we got? We got perma war in Eastern Europe. We got an extremely bizarre and unpopular situation in the Middle East. And I don't know what we're doing down in Venezuela when most of the substances of concern probably come up through Mexico. What exactly are we doing? Again, ungovernable. And this, the best way to reflect all this is not to go, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Oh my God, something negative is going to happen. Again, another huge YouTube member area theme. It's not something necessarily overtly negative that turns crypto. It's something overtly positive, meaning people just kind of wake up one day and go, I want something different, right? WWJD, go Cubs. Dude, I used to live, back when I worked at the Futures Exchange, I used to live near Wrigley Field, which I referred to at the time as the world's biggest outdoor bar. I am happy that the New York Yankees, which no one seems to hate, no one seems to like but me, okay, I grew up watching the Yankees, and I'm glad they're in the playoffs. Okay, someone wants to know if Ski Mask Dog is dead. I don't know if Ski Mask Dog is dead, but I do know that we have a period of time. I'm not giving the exact date because that's part of our research. But, you know, you got some time to think about meme coins. We narrowed it down. You know, there's Ski Mask and another coin that's popular with our reader base. One coin made it and one didn't. Now, I understand that people are upset about what happened in coins like Ski. In things like that, you have to ask yourself, do you still believe in it? And if memes come back, and I think when you see our research, you're going to see the angle that we took because it took a while to get there. You know, not everything is going to come back, and the stuff that does come back is going to be along a specific theme. So is any one coin dead when you're going to have a robust fourth quarter? I don't know, but let me just ask you something. Do you remember why you bought it? Do you remember if you took profits when it went up or when it was at the high, how you felt about it and what was your upside target? Like when it was up, where did you think it was going? Do you still think it can get there or anywhere near there? Like, you know, Toby Ward has a way of finding upside targets, which again, I'm not telling you. You got to get in there and find out. Right now, based on the way she does things, I'm not sure I see Ski Mask Dog doing that. You would have to evaluate the meme rally once it starts. And Toby even says this I can give you. She's like, look, don't evaluate and dump something when it's down at the lows. Everybody at the lows wants to puke out. Evaluate it once any potential rally starts. Like, does it participate? If it doesn't participate, that's when you'll know when to get rid of or not get rid of your coins. Okay, Bull Runner is a Red Sox fan. I still love you anyway, brother. Are we late asking for coins? No, you are not. Nobody's ever too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. Okay. Bull Runner likes the recent research, and he says higher. And that is probably a perfect end to the story. Don't forget, for $4.99, you can get an emoji that gets you a priority on comments. Okay. And for $49, you can get Toby Ward and these podcasts that give you more information. And we are getting a lot better at narrowing this down. Guess who Chicken Boo bought PYTH? Because I published a report that had, you know, the 3 top Gann coins. We had PYTH and PEAQ go up in the month of September, and the month of September, frankly, sucked. So we're getting a lot better at narrowing this down. So we're not giving you 15 coins anymore. We're not even giving you 10. We're trying to give you 2 to 6. Okay, people, that is the market update for today. Jeff, thanks for coming in. We will see you soon.